official World Cup coverage on SJ Radio.
Roman Zobnin, that's a great ball into the edge of the penalty area, chance of a shot for Djurgården, but he couldn't get it on target. Good defending again, they're appealing for a corner.
He's got it.
And the referee, after a little consultation with his assistant, says that will be another Russian corner.
You know what, Zobnin there and Gazinski trying to play a little bit of football in the middle of the park, getting closed down by the Saudi Arabians, but they're not closing in numbers, they're closing in ones and twos. Russia have played around them, looking dangerous, mainly down the left-hand side for Russia.
So another chance for Yuri Zhirkov. Left on a delivery, goalkeeper came. Good header away defensively though, and the ball comes back out to Zhirkov on the left-hand side. Golovin now, whips it across, great ball in, goalkeeper scrambling, it's into the back of the net, and Russia have scored the opening goal of their World Cup, and it's the first ever international goal for Yuri Gazinski. The Krasnodar midfielder puts Russia in front. There is hardly any emotion from the coach, Stanislav Cherchesov, but the Luzhniki Stadium erupts. The players, you can sense the pressure easing off their shoulder, and we're being told that the VAR is looking at this again to see if it's offside, but Russia celebrate what they hope and believe to be the opening goal.
From what I'm seeing here, I'm looking at the screens right now, we can't see anything that's making us think that this goal won't stand, but again it's come down the left-hand side. Golovin, it got cleared out from the corner. Golovin gets it, he looks across with his left, but he doesn't. He goes through an in-swinger, and there's about 5 or 6 Russian players that could have got on the end of it, but they didn't. It only took one. They put it in the back of the net, and what a start for Russia.
Well, the VAR has remained silent. I don't think there was any doubt, Alan Shearer, that goal was going to stand.
No, what's noticeable is when they've had to defend 3 or 4 corners already, Saudi Arabia, and what they're doing is they're actually leaving 3 of their players on the 6-yard box, marking no one. And when the ball got returned back in, those 3 players were still standing there, not marking anyone, leaving Gazinski and 1 or 2 others at the far post for a free header. Great ball in and an excellent header. What a start for Russia.
Good finish that, Alan. What a good finish, eh? 4 posts, he got up early. Defenders have got no chance. Playing zonal against a forward like that, no chance.
You wouldn't mind that space at the far post though, would you, Dion?
What a time for Yuri Gazinski to score his first ever international goal. There was a bit of controversy about him even being called up to the squad. He plays for Krasnodar, and many in Russia thought he was only brought in because he's a club teammate of Fido Smolov, the centre forward, and he was sort of in to be his mate in the camp and to help him around the place. Well, not only has he been in the squad, he's in the starting 11 for the opening game, and now he has scored the opening goal of the 2018 World Cup. Russia won, Saudi Arabia nil. We've just seen an image of a Saudi dignitary and a big shrug. What are you going to do?
Big shrug from Putin. They're shaking hands. I mean, there was an undercurrent of a smile there from Putin on the screens. Great start though, Connor. What a start. Both teams having plenty of the ball, both teams trying to do it right. Russia obviously trying to go a little bit more direct to get into the final third than Saudi Arabia, but it seems to be working at the moment.
Saudi Arabia looking a little bit rattled now. Omar Hassabi putting the ball straight out of play on the far side. Russia, suddenly they've all grown a foot in height, haven't they? They're brimming with confidence now, having scored that early goal. 12 minutes played when Yuri Gazinski managed to pop it into the back of that. It's a good finish. Now, here come Russia again. Surely a flag. It's going to be pulled back. Chance for Smolov, and saved by the goalkeeper. Al-Mayouf diving to his right-hand side. He fingertips it away. There's an injury, I think a clash of heads. And physios from both nations are being invited onto the pitch. Smolov is nursing his head. So too Mohamed Albrek. And we're going to have a little bit of a delay in play here.
Al-Mayouf, I'm watching the replay here. He's actually offside, Connor. He's a yard offside, and he plays it in to where Smolov is on his way in, and there's 2 players that actually go to block it and collide heads there. That's what it is. They look okay though.
tell you what, and I'm with you, Dean. My first instinct was he was offside.
Yes.
Had it been allowed to continue, Al Mayouf has made a brilliant save. I mean, he's diving like Clark Kent turning into Superman. They're out to his right-hand side to fingertip it away.
I was just about to say, catch it. Why didn't he catch it?
Connor, what's been said to the referees and their assistants is if there is any doubt whatsoever then to let play go on, and that was a classic example of that. He is half a yard offside, so if anything had to come of that, I'm sure they would have looked at that and disallowed that.
And pulled it back for an offside. Okay, fair enough. Both players.
And as you know, I've got two members of the Strikers Union here with me. I mean, I presume you welcome that as being the right way to do it, Alan.
Yeah, but if there's any doubt, they're going to look at it anyway. Yeah, so absolutely. What I am worried about is if they continue to get involved in everything, you're constantly going to have to look at something. That'll stop the flow of the game.
Yeah, we often talk about, it was a late flag from the assistant. There's going to be a lot of those in this tournament because they've been told, unless they're certain, don't flag and let the VAR deal with it after the event if necessary.
Yeah, deal with the situation, see what happens with the situation and let VAR deal with it if they need to get involved. Correct.
That wasn't tight, that one, though. That was side, wasn't it?
It wasn't, yeah, way off.
Well, Moscow is bouncing Luzhniki Stadium. This is the start Russia wanted. It's the start Vladimir Putin wanted. And you just wonder, can they now ride the wave, Russia? Can they build on the confidence as Roman Zobnin has it 10 yards inside the Saudi Arabia half, gives it to Yuri Zhirkov on the left-hand side, little 1-2 with Zobnin. And then back inside their own half again to Ignashevich, who looks like he's all sorts of bandages and plasters. It looks like he's been held together down there as he rolls it to Kutubov, back to the goalkeeper Akinfeyev, and a clearance down the field headed on by the Brazilian-born Mario Fernandes. It's won back in the midfield by Al Jassim, but they don't hold on to it, Saudi Arabia. They've made a lot of errors inside their own half. Mario Fernandes tries to cut in off the right wing. Good touch by the defender Al Shirani, and then it goes out of play for a Saudi Arabia throw, and they have got to get themselves together, or Russia are going to double their lead soon. Yasser Al Shirani, boys of the Saudi Arabia team, the famous computer game FIFA a couple of years ago. He was the cover star. If you bought the Middle East version, you had Lionel Messi and you had Yasser Al Shirani on the cover of the computer game, so that's the sort of status he's got. Saudi Arabia forward into the Russian half. Al Shirani, we've just been discussing, has it near the halfway line. He's the longest hair of all the starting 11 Saudi players. Back into his own half to Omar, to the captain, Osama Hassawi. And now Albrecht, forward from right back, very effectively closed down by Alexander Golovin, and that goes out for a throw into Saudi Arabia down the right-hand side. 1-0 to Russia on 5 Live on the World Service across Africa for the BBC.
The two midfield players for Saudi, the main two midfield players, Al Jassam and the other, number 18, Al Dasari. They're just getting the ball and dictating how Saudi Arabia play, but they're playing too slowly at the moment.
Another chance for Russia down the right-hand side. Samedov tried to play in the early cross, but he put it too far in front of Smolov and Tagoyev, who'd made good runs inside him, and that's easily mopped up by the Saudi defence. And Saudi Arabia have it now in midfield with Al Jassim, who plays with Al Ahly. Now, he's got a lot of international goals in the past, 18 international goals for him. At the moment, Saudi Arabia finding it difficult to get out of their own half. Omar Hassami leaves it off a little bit short, and now on to Osama Hassawi. Russia at the moment happy for Saudi Arabia to have the ball in their own half, but as soon as they come up to the halfway line, then the press.
Then they get closed down. I think, they're just leaving a player up at the moment, Russia, because they can afford to do that. Saudi Arabia won't go long. They'll be patient. Like I said, they'll play through the first. This is the first time the goalkeeper's just kicked it. Commentators curse, and they lose it.
Controlled in the middle of the midfield by Roman Zobnin. Might have been a rough challenge on him. Referee blows the whistle. Free kick to Russia inside the centre circle. It was Mohammed Al Shalawi, who scored 16 goals in qualifying. Mind you, 8 of those came in the 2 games against Timor-Leste. 1-0 to Russia in this, the opening game of the World Cup. We've almost played 20 minutes, so almost midway through the first half. Now, here is Golovin in the penalty area for Russia, left-hand side. His pass was behind Smolov, and when it went through Smolov, there was no one of the far post arriving for Russia, so Saudi Arabia will clear it away. Good burst by Al Shirani, the left back here. He's up over the halfway line, nearly leaves the ball behind him, but recovers well. Al Shalawi's ahead of him, played into the penalty area. Al Shalawi gets in there ahead of the defender, but Q-tip Chutapov does enough, and it goes out for a corner. That is by far the most dangerous passage of play we've seen from Saudi Arabia. They still trail 1-0 to Russia.
Chutapov had to make the header. He actually slips a little bit. If he doesn't get that ball, the forward's got an easy header on goal. He completely messes it up. Good defending. Ignashevich, I don't know where he was to help his defender out at all.
The aging Ignashevich caught out of position on that occasion. Chutapov did just enough, but it has given Saudi Arabia this corner. They're playing from left to right as we look down. It's cleared away, headed by the first defender. Collected on the edge of the penalty area. Mohamed Albrecht, the right back, hangs in across. Strong defensive header away by Chutapov, and then it takes a deflection. It's going to bounce out. Now, did the ball go over the line? It did, and that is going to be another corner to Saudi Arabia. Igor Akinfeyev tried his best, scampered out of his goal, tried to jump like a basketball player to keep that in, but it had gone out, and Salman Al-Faraj will stroll across to take the corner.
It's every single player back. Saudi Arabia leaving 4 outside the box. Why would they do that? It's their corner.
Corner whipped in around the penalty spot area. Russia with a chance of a counter-attack here, and Saudi Arabia have got to get players back. Alexander Golovin passes to his right-hand side. Chagoyev is pulled up. I think he's done his hamstring down there. He's just crumpled to the ground. There was no opponent near him. He's feeling the back of his leg, and it looks like he's got a problem there. And that was very unfortunate timing for Russia, because they had a counter-attack on, and just as the ball came to the CSKA player, he just pulled up as if a sniper had got him from the top of the stand.
I think is it Goyev that just went down there? He pulled it with his left hamstring.
Yes.
He's actually. You know what? There it is. It's his left hamstring. He was going towards the ball. He had a runner back around the outside of him, and he just holds his left hamstring there. We in the game will always say it looked like he's been shot by a sniper from the crowd, but he's just gone down. You know exactly what he's done. If it is a hamstring, he's not going to be able to continue, and he's getting up really gingerly now, so I'd be surprised if he can carry on.
That's the voice of Dion Dublin watching this game with us here at 5 Live in Moscow. Russia 1, Saudi Arabia 0. Alan Shearer, Mohamed Al-Salawi, I mean, he put the pressure on Chutapov. It was good movement from the striker, and Al-Sharani, the left back, did ever so well to create that chance. That's how Saudi could cause problems for Russia, that sort of counter-attack position.
Yeah, that was their best opportunity, to be honest. The defender slipped and gave away the corner. But what Russia are doing is they're being very, very clever here, because when they lose the ball, they're actually letting Saudi Arabia have that ball, and as soon as they get anywhere near the halfway line, they're going after them, and then once they get the ball, they're far too quick for them and clever for them. So just we can keep an eye on that, because I think that is happening almost at every opportunity. That's their tactic. It's saying, okay, once we get it, we're going to hit you on the counter attack, and I think they'll create chances and they can win this game by 3 or 4.
Right, well, it looks like that is the end. It is for Alan Zagoyev, the CSKA Moscow player. That hamstring injury means he's going to play no further part, and it will be the Villarreal midfielder Denis Cheryshev, who has caused a bit of a stir in the build-up to this tournament. He's the man who comes on. He has lived in Spain since he was 5 years of age. His father was a footballer, played for Sporting Gijon. The whole family decided to stay on in Spain, so he's grown up, lived all his life in Spain, and when he arrived in Russia for this tournament, he refused to do any interviews in Russian. He said he would only answer questions in Spanish, which didn't go down well with the Russian press, but he plays regularly for Villarreal, and he's probably one of the better players in the squad.
Yeah, but from what we can see so far, and he stuck to his guns, didn't he? He stuck to his guns in the interview, so fair play to him, it's worked.
1-0 to Russia, the hosts, on this, the opening day of the 2018 World Cup. All the matches live on 5 Live. We've already got commentary teams dotted around the country. We're getting lovely social media pictures of the boys enjoying their boat rides in St. Petersburg and the sunshine down in Sochi. And myself and Dion will be on the road from early tomorrow morning. We're off to
Kazan.
Where are we going?
Kazan
tomorrow, then
yes.
Samara.
Big game on Saturday.
It's going to be a big adventure, and we'll be right across it with you on 5 Live. Don't forget, Mark Chapman and Kelly Cates have got a podcast every day throughout the World Cup. Perfect for your morning commute. 5 Live World Cup Daily. You get it wherever you normally get podcasts. Very much well worth looking out for, and I believe top of all the charts. Most popular podcast of the moment. Omar Hassami is possession for Saudi Arabia, who trail by a 1-0 here against the host Russia. Salah Hassawi back to the goalkeeper Al Mayouf, and it's almost like the Saudis are trying to just slow down the pace of the game for just a moment and try and regain some composure here. Cloudy skies overhead. It's been a lovely day, lovely sunshine throughout the morning and early afternoon. It's just clouded over a little bit here, but very much pleasant conditions for this World Cup opener.
I was just watching the Saudi Arabian, midfield player there. I think it was Al-Faraj, telling the goalkeeper, come forward, bring the ball out. If you've got no pressure, pick a pass, be confident. The goalkeeper goes long and he's not happy with him, so they are pretty much going total football, even at this stage.
Al-Brek, the right back, has come well forward, but a good challenge by Cheryshev, the man who's come on. He gets it back again and comes powering over the halfway line. They're trying to keep up with him here. It's a storming run. He's made up 50, 60 yards. He tries to cross in, and Osama Hassawi in the right place to make the block. But Denis Cheryshev coming on for the injured Djokovic. I don't think that weakens Russia at all. It might actually strengthen them.
Not at all. Look at this again, Conor. They are closing down so well, Russia. But they're picking the right times to do it. They're allowing Saudi Arabia to have the ball. Alan Shearer's just said it. Final third right now. They're in the final third. No pressure.
Yep,
no pressure at all. You wait till they get into the middle of the park. Everything changes.
Semedo was the man who made the interception there. The way Saudi Arabia are playing, it's ripe for interceptions, and not just in midfield, but they're playing it around a little bit too lax in defence as well. Ball put out of play by Ilya Kutupov on the far side. Saudi Arabia will have their throw in, which they have already taken. In the midfield, this is Abdullah Toyev. Good ball here onto Al-Sheri, but another interception, more pressure from the Russians, and Saudi Arabia are forced back. They don't fully lose possession though, they get it back immediately. Possession with the Toyev, flicks it in midfield. Now they're looking to spray it wide. Mohamed Al-Brek tries to make a run. Good covering by Yuri Zhirkov, but his header gives possession straight to Al-Sharif, who's, you have to say, is covering a lot of ground there. He's popping up everywhere. It's pulled back for Al-Dasawi. He took a snapshot. You could see what he was trying to do there, but it's high and it's off target.
You know what, I've just seen the two centre halves of Russia, Ignashevich and Kutupov, just change positions. They've just gone from one was left, one was right. They've just switched over. I think Al-Hassawi up front has the beating of Ignashevich, obviously for pace. So Kutupov has just come over just to take that responsibility.
3 more games tomorrow at Russia 2018. Egypt against Uruguay is the early kick-off. Morocco play Iran, and quite a game in the evening. Portugal against Spain. We'll bring it to you live here on 5 Live. We've played 28 minutes, Alan Shearer. What's your thoughts at the moment?
Well, Russia have been the better team and deserve their lead. Just having a look at Saudi Arabia, because they're working so hard defensively, whenever they get the ball, they're looking up, and they're only seeing one player, the number 10, Al-Shalawi. He's up there on his own. He's fighting a lonely battle at times. It could be a long evening for him and for Saudi.
Well, here comes Mohamed Al-Shalawi. The ball came in awkward height for him. He jumps and he chests, and you can see exactly what Alan's been illustrating there. Al-Shalawi's all gesticulations, waving arms to his teammates, saying, come on, you've got to give me better service than that, as Fido Shmolov just strays into an offside position. The flag is raised on the far side, and that will be a free kick for Saudi Arabia, who trail by a 1-0. And you know, I think while it's at 1-0, they won't be panicking. They'll think there's plenty of time to get back into it. 2-0, different story, but 1-0, it's there.
They'll be thinking now. Russia will be thinking to themselves, listen, we've got one. We should really be 2 up, because they've created so many chances all down the left-hand side. Back in down the left-hand side, but I'm just watching here. Just been unfortunately, one of the Saudi Arabians has just been. Yeah, it's a bad tackle that, by the way. Bad tackle.
So free kick for the challenge on Tassir Al-Jassim.
He hasn't touched him. I've just seen it on the screen. He hasn't touched him. He's just jumped out the way. That's a shocking dive. That's a shocking dive.
Well, there will be consternation if Saudi Arabia score from this free kick. It's outside the penalty area, wide to the right. It's not quite shooting position, but dangerous location here to whip in across. Salman Al-Faraj, the Al Hilal player, successful club career in his native land. He's won 4 league titles, couple of cups, but this is a big stage. This is the opening game of the World Cup, and he needs this to be a perfect delivery. He's standing over it, giving it every consideration, like a rugby player trying to slot it between the posts here. He looks like Johnny Wilkinson, full of concentration. Can he deliver it properly? The referee needs eyes on the back of his head here. There's a lot of players jostling for position in around the penalty spot. Russian red, Saudi Arabian green. Here comes Al Faraj, floats it in, headed by Yasser Al-Sharani, and it's a defender's header, and it loops over the top, and it doesn't trouble the Russian goalkeeper.
They seem to get in each other's way there. You know, it wasn't a bad ball in by Faraj at all. It leaves it sort of penalty spot area. There's 3 players in the way. They're all trying to head to the ball. There's no communication at all from any of the Saudi Arabian players, and they sort of let them head it because they knew they was going to make a hash of it.
Shove in the midfield. He's got support from Yuri Zhirkov on the left hand side, gets to within 15 yards of the byline, pulls it.
Down it, look. Alan there, and there's no contact at all. So it was a dive, yeah.
Russia won. Football to come over the next 5-6 weeks. This is the first of many. On Saturday there's 4 different games on. We won't know what to do with ourselves. Here comes Saudi Arabia with Salim Al-Dasawi, flashy winger who finished the season on loan at Villarreal in Spain. He's the one guy who went on loan in Spain and actually got to play. He played 10 minutes against Real Madrid on the last day of the season, but surely he's picked up a few cobwebs over those recent months just sitting on the bench. As Zobnin collects it in the midfield, plays it forward, cut out by Omar Hassami. Well kept in play actually by Al-Sheri. I thought that was going to go out. A little bit lax by Denis Cheryshev to hold on to possession of the midfield. So Saudi Arabia get it with Abdullah Atayev into the number 7, Al Faraj. He's got pressure all around him for the man who scored the only goal of the World Cup so far, Yuri Gazinski. And that pressure is too forceful in the end, and the referee gives the free kick to Saudi Arabia, who are keen to get on with it. There's certainly no lack of tempo from Saudi Arabia.
They're trying to get into that final third, Conor. They're just trying to do it by maybe overplaying. I mean, you know, they've got the ball in their own half now. There's not a Russian player in the Saudi Arabian side. They're allowing them to have it. They know that they're in control of this game. They might have to find another way of playing. Can they play another way, Saudi Arabia? That is what I'm talking about. Lapsing concentration is only going to get you in trouble.
Throw and take it quickly. Smolov to the byline, left hand side, creeps infield now into the penalty area, tries a little trick. Osama Hassawi was alert to that though, and the referee turns and blows his whistle and says that will be a free kick out of defence for Saudi Arabia. Alisher, from an entertainment point of view, is there a risk that Russia will say, right, we're 1-0 up here, we're going to sit that little bit deeper and just wait for Saudi Arabia to make a mistake?
I think that's what they're doing. Is we've said it once or twice. Is that they're quite comfortable, and it's obviously one of their tactics to say, okay, we're quite happy with you to have the ball, but as soon as you get near the halfway line, and every single time they're doing it, and when they win the ball back, if they're just a little bit brighter and quicker, they can create space and create chances by doing that, because that tactic is obviously working for them nearly every time.
Al-Shawani finding it difficult here to work his way out of his own half. Another counter-attacking opportunity for Russia. Smolov does well to hold it up on the edge of the penalty area. He's the man who was expected to get all the goals, but then he dilly-dallies a little bit, and Al-Sheri is able to nip in and win possession, and Salim Al-Dasawi sets off on a slaloming run, and he breaks into the Russian half, but a good challenge on him from Golovin initially, and Russia regained possession. Kutupov has it here on the edge of the penalty area. There is a huge roar from the couple of thousand Saudi Arabia fans behind that goal they're attacking, whenever it even looks like they're going to come at the end. Even if there's a sniff of a chance, they're all up on their feet and cheering, as they'll do now, as Al Faraj comes forward on the left-hand side. Pass couldn't get through, but now there's a counter-attacking chance for Russia. Smolov helps it onto Golovin, 5 yards outside the penalty area, couple of step overs, good lunge by Osama Hassawi, and the referee says no to the attempts at a dive for Golovin. But is he going to be punished for the dive? as play continues and Saudi Arabia clear it away.
Hassawi, what a challenge, what timing. He had to get that spot on, because I thought he'd been done with the skill, but he hadn't. He kept his eye on the ball, timed his tackle.
Osama Hassawi has made a lot of important interceptions. This could be much worse for Saudi Arabia than the 1-0 it currently is, but for some crucial moments from him.
What he's got to be careful of is the challenges that you're talking about, Connor. He's ended up just lunging towards the enemy, getting his toe there just in time. You can't keep lunging. At some stage, you won't touch the ball, you'll get the man and you'll give them something like a penalty.
Did you see him shouting at the referee there, telling him to book him because he thought he dived as well?
Yeah, I did.
1-0 to Russia into the final 10 minutes now of this first half. And Stanislav Cherchesov, the Russian coach, have just spotted him down there waving both hands down. He's just telling his players, calm, let's just take it easy. He was a goalkeeper in his playing days. Stanislav Cherchesov. We're getting to see a few more action replays of this dive in the penalty area. As Kutupov gets the game back underway and has possession inside his own half with the veteran Ignashevich alongside him. Kutupov plays it right-footed down the right wing. Sherwani comes across and just brushes the top of his shaggy hair, and it goes out for a throw into Russia, which is taken quickly by Samedov, maybe too quickly. They weren't ready for it in the middle. Atoyev wins back possession. Now it's up to Salman Al-Faraj, and then his attempts to give it over the halfway line are thwarted by good positioning from Kutupov. So Russia will come again. Fedor Smolov, who scored 12 international goals in the past. Yuri Zhirkov comes up from left back again, has a little glance into the penalty area, doesn't see anything worth crossing for just yet. Chercheshev will take it to the byline, and he took it too far and he was stretching, and that is simply going to be a goal kick. 1-0 to Russia.
You know what, Golovin, Gazinski, Chercheshev, in the middle of the park, they're playing some really nice football. They are now on top. You can see the posture's changed of the Russian team. They are now in full control. What might hinder them is concentration. Don't switch off, don't think it's going to be a 2-3, because this Saudi Arabia side could surprise them.
Goal kick for Saudi Arabia. Al-Mayouf, the goalkeeper, takes it, controlled by Al-Sharani on the far. Oh, he's done really well there. He took it down from a height, two opponents around him. Great touch, as Dion says, sets his team in motion, but then Al-Jassim gives it away on the edge of the Russia penalty area. But Russia mightily relieved to get that one clear. Now Golovin has got brilliant control himself here, and as he rolls the ball in front of Smolov doesn't canter, and I think he knew he was up. The flag didn't go up, but he knew, if I sprint after that and touch it, I'll be offside. Yeah,
sorry there. The big centre half who we've just spoke about making some great tackles, just a little bit lapsed there in going to win that ball. He actually looks tired. He can't be tired yet, surely, Connor. Surely.
No, we have played 38 minutes of this World Cup. It's pleasant temperatures and conditions for football. 1-0 to Russia, the goal, first ever for his country by Yuri Gazinski, the Krasnodar midfielder. As Al-Faraj plays it forward in the midfield and onto Salam Al-Dasawi. Now, can Saudi Arabia get one back before halftime? That would certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons. There would be a very different mood around this Luzhniki Stadium over the break if Saudi Arabia could make it 1-1. They have it in the midfield with Shiri. To the right-hand side, Al-Brek. Little 1-2 again between those two. 15-20 yards inside the Russia half. In possession they can look neat and tidy, and then suddenly they will make a mistake, or they'll overdo it a little bit, and Golovin here has a chance to break on a counter-attack. He's got Smolov up ahead of him. It's a poor pass from Golovin. Smolov will chase after it and get there at the corner flag, but that was not the sort of ball he wanted to run onto.
It was a difficult ball to play without the defender intercepting it, but he had to play it just a little bit softer so that Smolov had a chance of getting on the end of it. He didn't do that, and it was a bit of a difficult one to keep in play. But there's lots and lots of final third action for Russia, where I think they could just be doing a little bit better with a little bit more quality.
Yeah, the replay screens in front of us are showing that what looked to be dive in the penalty area, and that will dominate a lot of the half-time discussions. Kaczynski's goal, Russia 1-0 in front in the opening game of the 2018 World Cup. Here is Al-Shahiri, one of those who went to Spain. He went to Leganés and he didn't play at all. This is Osama Sawari, man who's made a lot of important tackles and interceptions in the game so far. But it's actually when they're in possession themselves, when they're trying to play out of their own half, that's when Saudi Arabia looks most vulnerable. Because the midfielders push, the wingers push, and if the defenders give it away in that position, that's when they're caught.
Yeah, and you know, because they're playing total football, the players, when they have the ball, more than likely have their head down, so they can't really see what's going on. If there's a ball to be played 30 or 40 yards, they probably won't see it, because they're playing total football. They can only see what's in and around them, little triangles, nice, neat football, but they're not getting any reward from it as yet. If they were to pick their head up, they might see one pass in 10 that might go long. It might just work for them.
Free kick to Russia. Igashevich takes it across to the near side. Yuri Zhirkov, and he rolls it back to the goalkeeper Akinfeev, who puts it straight out of play and just returns possession to Saudi Arabia. Aliger, can you see any obvious way that Saudi Arabia can change what they're doing to be more effective?
They've got to try and get someone nearer Al-Shawari, because he's playing such a difficult role up front on his own that he's going to go and looking for the ball, and he shouldn't do that.
Cheryshev into the penalty area for Russia, left-hand side. He twisted one way then the other, probably one turn too many. The defender was on the ground. Cheryshev turned back into trouble. He runs it out of play for a goal.
He had his chance. A great bit of skill there from Cheryshev. He's actually chopped inside. He's done the defender on the outside. Then he comes inside and tries to do it again. He's running out of space. Gives a goal kick away because he's just trying to be a little bit too elaborate there. There's other Russian players getting into the box. He's just got to find the space and let the player find the ball.
Russia have been very, very sloppy going forward, particularly in the final third. They've had so many opportunities to hit them on the break, whether that's 1-on-1, 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. If they were a little bit more careful with their passes, they could cause all sorts of problems.
Here's a chance. Roman Zobnin collects possession on the edge of the penalty area. Now support is arriving. Cheryshev waits for it to come. Brilliant first touch. Oh, what a goal! Russia get their second, and that is quality from Denis Cheryshev. The way he dinked the ball away from the last defender there. He was calmness personified. He didn't rush it. He knew exactly what he was doing. Russia 2, Saudi Arabia 0. What a time to score. 2.5 minutes before the break.
Cheryshev, what a finish that was, by the way. What a break by the Russians. A nice little over. He gets picked up there. What he does, he gets his head up, rolls it into, I think it's Smolov's feet, and then Cheryshev actually leaves two defenders on the floor. They both dive in. They think he's going to shoot on his left foot. This time he chops at the right time onto it. In fact, he chips it over two defenders, Alan. That is just unbelievable skill.
It's a fantastic finish, but it's exactly what we've been talking about all half day. If they pick their moments, which they are, if they're clever and cute and have the accuracy like they are, they can go and get 4 and 5 goals in this game, because at every opportunity they're hitting them on the break. They're too quick for them. They have too much pace for them, and they can create so many chances. And as I said, if their attitude's right, they can go and get 4 and 5 goals. It's there for them if they want to do it.
Do you know what I love about that Cheryshev little dink? I mean, that was quality, right? Just to paint the picture for the listeners at home, two defenders are sliding in. He knows they're sliding, so he just flicks the ball up in the air. They slide under the ball, and then he's got to go forward. What I love about it, Dion, is around the globe, in exactly 1 minute's time, loads of kids are going to run out in the street into the back garden, and they're all going to be saying to their brothers, "God, slide into me, and I'm going to try and do that." That's what World Cups do to you.
And you know what? That's quality. And what happens is, when you haven't got the ball, you have to work fast to get the ball back. When you have got chances to score on goal, then you have to be calm. That was calmness personified right there. Great finish. The defenders had to dive in, otherwise he would have shot, but he picked the right time for that little bit of skill.
Russia 2, Saudi Arabia 0. I think there could be quite a few shots in Moscow tonight, the way things are going, of the beverage variety. Russia beginning their own World Cup exactly as they would have dreamed. You know, it's right. These are the two lowest ranked teams in the competition. It's not a difficult opener, if you like, but the pressure on them to perform, and 2-0 on the verge of half-time. You've got to say Stanislav Cherchyshev will be mightily relieved as much as anything else. They've now got a cushion to defend in the second period.
Now they haven't got the ball. Saudi Arabia got the ball. Russia now have set into a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, getting behind the ball, saying to Saudi Arabia, break us down. What have you got? Have you got enough skill to get around us? Because at the moment, they haven't. And they haven't got any answers, Saudi Arabia.
2 minutes been added on, the stoppages before the break.
Russia are totally dominant. They're in total control. They know exactly what they're doing, and Saudi Arabia are playing exactly into their hands how they want them to play. They're doing it constantly. We keep saying it, but they're not learning. And at every single opportunity, they're winning the ball, Russia, and they're going straight for that back 2 or back 3 of Saudi Arabia because they're not leaving enough men back.
And Alan, on that, you say they're in control, they know what they're doing. Is that relative to their opponent here? Or, I mean, when they come up against Uruguay, like, are you impressed by Russia enough to think, well, hang on a minute, they might actually be much better than we thought?
No, I don't think so. I think Saudi Arabia are that poor that they're playing straight into Russia's hands. I don't think they're a good team at all. I think if they had more ability, they'd have had 4 or 5 goals in this game alone, because they're just picking them off. And if they were a bit more careful in the final third, as I said, they'd create a hell of a lot more, because the opportunities are, without a doubt, are there for them.
You know what? If Saudi Arabia had a plan B, because at the moment, Alan, they seem to have only one way of playing. It's not working for them at the moment. Russians have got it absolutely bang on. Now, if the Saudi Arabians could think, well, hold it a minute, maybe we have to go long on the odd occasion just to spread the game out a little bit.
Well, we are up and we are running for this World Cup. 2 goals in the first half for Russia. And Saudi Arabia, it's a heck of a long way back from here for them now. There's Osama Hassawi just holding on to it. Every time they have the ball in defence now, you sort of fear a little bit for the Saudis. They're trying to come forward on the right here. Al-Brek very cheaply giving up possession.
That's probably why they don't go long, Connor. That's probably why they don't go long. They try to play a little 30-yard ball, they give it away. And it's easy, mentally it's easy for Russia, because they don't have to have a deep line. They can have a high line because they're never going to go long. Nobody's going to go in behind Ignashevich and Kutapov at all.
There we go, half-time, the conclusion of the opening 45 minutes of this World Cup. Yuri Gazinski scored after 12 minutes. That calmed a lot of Russian nerves, and if anything it just increased the errors from Saudi Arabia, and eventually the substitute Denis Cheryshev was able to nip in with some glorious skill to create the opportunity, and then finished with a flourish. 2-0 to Russia at the break, and for both players it's their first international goal, and Russia surely no stopping them now for this game at least.
No, not at all. I think, 2 very different goals as well, both coming from the left-hand side. Gazinski there with a fantastic header. We've just seen Cherchishev's very cool and cultured finish. The quality of the football has possibly been played by Saudi Arabia, but it's ineffective. Russia have got it spot on.
The Russian fans are happy, chappers. This is what they wanted. Russia 2, Saudi Arabia 0 at the break.
They are, although you nicked my first stat that I was going to give at half-time about it being the first goals for the country for their 2 goal scorers. But that's it's been really enjoyable.
It's been a brilliant atmosphere. Russia, without doubt, have been the best team. They've not had to face much at all from Saudi Arabia. They've not had one effort on goal, Saudi Arabia, and as I said, total dominance from. And they'll go into the dressing room at half-time absolutely delighted, as the vast majority of this crowd are.
They have had their moments going forward, Saudi Arabia. But would you say, Dion, that the final ball has always lacked, or it's always been the wrong option, or it's never just quite come off for them in that final third? Because little bits of it have been quick and neat.
No, but yeah, they haven't, and they are playing the game in the right way. And I think if you ask Alan the same question, that's how we want the game to be played: pass and move, very pretty football, triangles. But if it's not working, you have to find another way of playing the game. If it's not working for you, it's easy for the Russians because they know they're not going to go long. If it continues, chappers, it could be 4 or 5 this.
Because Saudi Arabia having to work so hard, and when they actually get the ball, they look up and they see one player, Al-Shawari, up front. So then they go sideways. Yes, they've got energy, there's no doubt about it. Yes, they've been tricky in 1 or 2 situations, but they've never really penetrated the back 4 of Russia. They've never really asked any serious questions. They had one break, and in fact when the defender slipped, didn't he? I think it might have been Ignashevich slipped and put it out for a corner. That's the nearest that Saudi Arabia have got to the Russian goal.
But the slightly odd thing is that Al-Salawi can be isolated up front, and the 2 centre halves have been I suppose if you're a duo you can't be isolated, but have been left as the two of them at the back without much support. So the question is, what are the rest of them doing? If they're isolated there and struggling at the back, they need to be a bit more rigid.
If you noticed, whenever the ball goes out, you can see the coach of Russia trying to grab the ball as quick as possible, give it to him, trying to take a quick throw, because they're mentally quicker than Saudi Arabia. It looks to me as if they're not used to playing the pace of the game at this speed.
I love the two goals though. Far post header, you can never beat a far post header. And then Churchill's little bit of skill. Although, where was the text or tweet that came in? Luke, if Churchill meant that touch, it's a world-class one. It looked a fluke initially. I think he did mean it, don't you?
It's a world-class touch. Don't you worry about that. He knew that, the two defenders that were diving in, they had to make the challenge. Otherwise, he would have shot on his left foot. They made his mind up, and then Cherchishev lifts it with his left, controls it, composure, puts the ball in the back of the net. I think down the left-hand side, Zhirkov, Gazinski and Golovin down the left-hand side for Russia have been outstanding.
Because they had to change that, didn't they, and put Cherchishev on the left when he came on for Jagayev, who had gone off injured.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter at the moment for Russia. At the moment, they look so comfortable. Personnel on, personnel off. They all know what they're doing. Smolov, he's getting the ball. His movement's very good. He's picking out a pass. He's dropping it in. I just think Russia have surprised me. They have surprised me the way they've played and how well they've played.
If that is Jagayev's hamstring that's gone, that could be his tournament, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, he looked in serious pain there, and you normally with hamstrings, and if it's a slight one, you're talking a minimum of 10 to 12 days. That looked a pretty bad one, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's his tournament over.
Which would be a real shame. He burst onto the scene at Euro 2012, scored 3 and 3 at Euro 2012. Kind of lost form. Only really features as a substitute in 2014, then broke his metatarsal before Euro 2016, so he missed that tournament. So he hasn't had the greatest of luck since we first became aware of him at Euro 2012. Thanks for your text and your tweets. Stephen, I didn't have high hopes for this game. Both teams are going for it though. Matt, quite a decent game so far. I hope it's a sign of how the World Cup's going to be. Philip, two Saudi Arabian defenders ended up in a different postcode for that second goal. And this stat came in from Opta, to say that Gazinski is the first player to score with the first shot on target at a World Cup since Philip Lahm in 2006, which originally I think is quite a decent stat, and then you think, well, there've only been 2 other opportunities for that to have happened since 2006, so maybe it's not that impressive really. Alan Shearer and Dion Dublin alongside Conor McNamara for the opening game of the 2018 World Cup, and the host Russia leads Saudi Arabia 2-0 at half-time. Don't forget, you can download the World Cup Daily. We've got this daily World Cup podcast. You can subscribe to it using your usual podcast provider, and it will be in your inbox, ready for you to listen to as soon as it is uploaded. So something to accompany you on your way to work every single morning. Coming up to 5 to 5, let's just pause for the latest BBC News.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
And with the latest headlines on 5 Live, I'm Mike Young. Hundreds of relatives and survivors have taken part in a silent procession marching towards Grenfell Tower to mark the first anniversary of the fire. Services and vigils have been held to remember the 72 people who died. The Reverend Mike Long is from the Notting Hill Methodist Church near the tower.
It's a very resilient and strong community. It's a community which has grown together enormously since the fire, but it's also a community that is still shattered by this enormous tragedy, and that therefore has a profound effect on the entire neighbourhood and everybody who lives and works here.
Rolls-Royce says cutting more than 4,000 jobs is needed to help the company stay competitive. It says the losses will mostly be in management roles and support staff at the engineering firm's base in Derby. 4 people smugglers have been given 25 years in prison over the deaths of 71 migrants in Austria. The victims suffocated in a sealed lorry in 2015. 2 Charlton athletic footballers accused of carrying out a sex attack on a British woman in Ibiza have appeared in court. Recco Hackett-Fairchild and Carlin Ahern Grant, both aged 20, were arrested on Tuesday after the 19-year-old reported being sexually assaulted in the village of San Jose. The British LGBT campaigner Peter Tatchell has been briefly detained in Moscow after protesting near the Kremlin. He was holding a poster accusing President Putin of failing to act against the torture of gay people in Chechnya. Ivan Kondratenko is a spokesperson for Amnesty International in Russia.
Unfortunately, we have quite a poor situation with the freedom of expression in this country, in this city right now, and even single pickets those days are prohibited without negotiating them with authorities. Authorities use FIFA games as yet another motivation to restrict freedom of assembly.
And the government's announced it's relaxing immigration rules to allow more doctors and nurses from outside of the EU to work in the UK. The Home Office says health workers will be excluded from the cap on skilled migration. That's the latest, and from 6 p.m, Tony Livesey will be here on 5 Live with an in-depth look at the day's news.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, smart speaker, smartphone and tablet.
A quick look at your travel. The M6 in Cheshire heading north and 2 lanes are closed to deal with an accident. It's causing queues backing up from Crewe at 16 to Keele services. At the M6 northbound in Staffordshire, Stafford services to Stoke-on-Trent, another accident, 1 lane closed. And the M42 in Warwickshire heading south, junction 10 at Tamworth to 9 at the M6 toll at Coleshill, queuing traffic after an earlier accident. The M1 looking slow in Leicestershire, an accident at junction 21 linking with the M69 for Leicester, queues back to 20 at Lutterworth. The M40 has queues northbound, junction 7 at Tame to 8 at Oxford. A lorry's having a tyre change. One of the lanes is closed. And the A1 still closed in East Lothian on the northbound side, where a lorry overturned at 9:30 this morning on Imagined 5 Live Travel.
5 Live Podcasts.
The FIFA World Cup Russia.
I'm Adrian Charles, and with the World Cup taking place in Russia this summer, I've been finding out more about the host country, from A to Tar, exploring Russia letter by letter, word by word. How do I say hello?
Привет.
Привет.
If you want to be formal, you say Здравствуйте.
I'm not doing that one, that's too long.
A to Zar from BBC 5 Live.
Download the full series now using your favourite podcast app.
5 Live Sport at the World Cup with Mark Chapman.
And in the opening match, Russia leads Saudi Arabia by 2-0. Now, every evening you'll be able to listen to the US Open Golf on 5 Live Sports Extra. Our correspondent Ian Carter is there, although if you're listening on Saturday and Sunday, you're unlikely to be listening to Rory McIlroy, are you?
Well, it doesn't look that way. It's been an awful start for McIlroy. This golf course is bearing its teeth, there's no doubt about it. It's drying out, it's fast, it's firm, it's windy. These are conditions that McIlroy often struggles in, and he's struggled really badly today, Mark. 10 over par through 12 holes, so he's right amongst the back markers as it stands at the moment. The leaders are at 1 under par, and one of them is English, Ian Poulter, brilliant, 1 under par through 14 holes. Scott Piercy, the American, has just finished with a round of 69, so he's the leader in the clubhouse. Other Britons on that leaderboard: Matthew Fitzpatrick at level par through 11 holes. The Scot Russell Knox through 11 holes is at level par as well, and Justin Rose and Paul Casey going along nicely. They're midway through their back nines. They're at 1 over par, within 2 shots of the lead. European Ryder Cup player Oliver Wilson is alongside us for this US Open. How good is any score that is par or better today?
Well, I mean, Piercy is going to be absolutely delighted. That's an incredible day's work. Shinnecock Hills is an incredible test without the wind. It's already playing like a Sunday afternoon, firm and fast. It's dried out since yesterday with the rain. It's just 18 grinding holes out there over every shot. There's no time for any lapse in judgment and lapse in concentration. So anything under par is a fantastic effort, and he'll be delighted.
McIlroy's had 3 double bogeys in his round. He's never done that as a professional before at a major. How do you explain this poor showing today?
It's the course, you know. It's such an incredible test of golf. It tests every area: physical, mental, driving, approach play, chipping, putting. Everything's got to be on today, because the slightest mistake is just heightened around here. You know, you can be. When we was out there on the course earlier, we saw balls that were so close to the hole for moments, and then a minute goes by and they're 30 yards away from the flag. You just got to be really on your game. The greens are quite large to look at, but the actual playing surface is tiny, and when the wind's like this, it just makes it incredibly hard.
And it's going to be even harder in the afternoon. That's when we'll see Tiger Woods. Does he have the attributes to cope with it at the age of 42?
Yeah, he definitely does. I think he'll be quite pleased actually that it's in the afternoon, because you watch what's going on in the morning, and you kind of get an understanding for how to play the golf course. That you see how brutal it's playing, and you might just change and become a little bit more defensive. But Tiger's the best in the world at preparing for tournaments, and he's played here before. He's got the history. He knows what's going on. He'll be looking forward to it.
Be fascinating to see how he fares. Big names, Mark, struggling. Phil Mickelson 6 over par through 12 holes. Jordan Spieth also through 12 holes. These two playing with Rory McIlroy. He's at 6 over par. The defending champion Brooks Koepka at 5 over par through 14 holes. Danny Willett's also on that 5 over mark as well. It's a real grind. It's precision and patience that's needed at this US Open. Sorry, what's Brooks Koepka, did you say? 5 over par. Oh. Does this involve a little betting slip in your back pocket by any chance?
No, it most certainly doesn't. It's just myself and Alan were asking each other who we would tip for the US Open, and I'd gone Brooks Koepka, and you had gone, Alan?
Justin Rose.
So that was all. Has Oliver got headphones?
Right. Alan is right. Seriously, if you had to say to me now who's going to win this, I would say Rose. He's got all the attributes.
You can grind it out, can't he?
Absolutely.
I really don't like you to agree with each other, but has Oliver got headphones on?
Yes, he has, absolutely.
Can I ask you a question, Ollie, quickly, if that's all right?
Absolutely.
Which is, when you talk about it being a grind, is that mentally difficult for a lot of these golfers who, week in, week out, if you're watching the US PGA coverage, will often win tournaments with under par in double figures. So mentally, is it very different?
It is, yeah. It's kind of hard to. It takes a little bit of experience, I think, in my opinion. It's a different approach to the course. All of a sudden, you might have a wedge in your hand, but you're having to aim at the middle of the green, 15 feet, 20 feet away from the flag, and that is very different to the normal weekly test. So you have to plot your way around this course. All US Opens, you have to have a proper strategy going out and kind of try and stick to it. And you've got to be cautious most of the time, and when you do have the opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive, if the USGA give you some friendly pins, then you have to try and take those opportunities there. And it's definitely a mental grind. It's just, you've got to hang in there, be patient. You're going to make mistakes, you're probably going to make doubles, but it's certainly in the first round it's very easy to get caught up in how hard, and maybe you're not doing so well because you're used to being under par. But you've got to remember 3, 4, 5 over par today actually might not be a bad score.
And you'll be able to, thank you very much, Oliver Wilson and Ian Carter. You'll be able to listen to more of the US Open on 5 Live Sports Extra from around 10 o'clock this evening. They'll be on air around 9:30 on 5 Live as well, just to give you a taster of what's coming, and then Sports Extra for the US Open Golf. Both teams coming back out at the moment. Given, Alan, that Saudi Arabia have struggled defensively, is that because of an attacking ethos, do you think? And therefore, should that be applauded if we were saying pre-match that we want teams to go for it?
No, I just think they lack ability. I think that's pure and simple. You've said they've struggled defensively. I think they've struggled all over the park. They've not been able to cope with Russia. And unless there's a drastic change in that, which I can't see that happening, Russia could, if they wanted to, go and get 4 or 5 goals here.
Graham says, looks like Saudi Arabia have forgotten to bring their defenders to the World Cup. Harrison, the Saudi defence is rubbish. Russia have the men to win this game comfortably, but they always seem to lack the final product. Wayne, the Saudis look terrible. Doesn't bode well for when the World Cup is extended to 48 teams in 2022. We're ready for the second half. Conor McNamara and Dion Dublin are your commentary team. They are also the voices behind the BBC Smart Speakers first ever Take Me to the BBC World Cup podcast. Connor's more technological than me. Explain how it works.
If you own one of those fancy devices, you might have a little thing in your kitchen that you shout at to play music for you, or maybe do some of your internet shopping, or if this is Alexa, Siri, these kind of things. There's various different ones from various different companies. If you own one of those, say to them, "Take me to the World Cup BBC podcast," or just "Take me to the World Cup," and it should play the little report that myself and Dion did in the build-up. But there's a different one every day. John Murray is doing it tomorrow, which is a wonderful clash of cultures, the traditionalist John and modern technology. So make sure you look out for that. It works on most smartphones, so give it a go.
I don't think he knows what a speaker is, let alone a smart speaker.
We are back underway. 2-0 to Russia, who were cheered off the pitch by their supporters. Welcome back as heroes for the start of the second half. There haven't been any changes in personnel. We're back underway. And Yuri Kaczynski, who scored the opening goal of this World Cup, that was after 12 minutes.
I mean, they could have had a bit of a slip back when Alan Chagoyev was taken off injured after 24 minutes. In particular, Dion, when you consider how many injuries they've had in the build-up to this tournament, losing a starting player after 24 minutes might have been a crushing blow. But lo and behold, the man who came on to replace him, Denis Cheryshev, with this beautiful dink to create space and then a slammed finish, and it's 2-0.
No, it doesn't look like it's affected them one bit. Yes, he would have been a very important player for them, like you've just said, though. Cheryshev, very cultured in his finish, calm, collected. Would they or could they be any more than 2 up? I think they could. They could be 3 up, they could be 4 up. They've just been a little bit messy in the final third. Their attacking third just haven't played the right pass at the right time.
That's not Lionel Messi they've been.
That's not Lionel Messi. Yes, that's right. Yes, not quite Messi yet, these lot.
Cute Dubov back to Akinfeev, and Russia trying to launch themselves in the attack again here in the early stages of this second half. So the Russians playing from left to right as we look down. The red shirts, white shorts, red socks. Saudi Arabia wearing all green. Saudi Arabia with Al Mayouf in goal. Back four, Al-Brek, who's come forward a lot on the right hand side. Al-Shirani, who's looked dangerous when he comes forward on the left. But Osama Hussawi and Omar Hassami, they're not brothers, same surname. As good as they've been defensively, they've given it away a lot, the pair of them trying to break out of defence in possession. Then you've got Al Jassim and Otef in the middle of the midfield. Al Jassawi, Al Shiri and Al Faraj are also in there, that 5-man midfield, with Mohammed Al Shalawi, who Alan Shearer was illustrating in the first half, has remained isolated up front.
I think Otef there, the 14 should really just be sitting in front of that duo of centre halves that Saudi Arabia have got there, Hassawi and Hassami. They need a little bit of protection, because Russia at the moment have got the better of the two centre halves. They're gambling on the ball, they're taking too long to play out from the back, therefore giving Russia a chance to get themselves ready for the squeeze.
We'll keep an eye to see if that three, that Al Dassawi, Al Faraj, Al Sheri, if they will in fact push forward a little bit more. They might as well go for it, Alan, Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's the opening game, 2-0 down. You might as well lose 3-4 as not gamble everything on getting back in it, because lose this one and that could be their World Cup over.
Couldn't agree more, Connor. They've got to try and find a way and try and get someone closer to Al Sharawi up front there, because they've started in a very similar pattern. Look, they're on the ball, they're looking up, and they haven't got that many options to hit, unfortunately. And which is undoubtedly they're watching both Egypt and Uruguay, Salah and Suarez. If you're watching that first half, you're rubbing your hands together and cannot wait to play against these, because they know, and you'd fancy a chances to score goals.
It's great the action is finally up and running, all the build-up. We've been waiting a long time for this, but 2-0 to Russia, both goals in the first half, and Saudi Arabia with it all to do here in the second period as they give the ball away in midfield. Al-Brek's cross in field was easily intercepted, and Zhirkov will clear left-footed, and there could be a march on here. Good break by Smolov. Not sure if he would have been onside. The flag was never raised. He would have been onside, but his shot takes a deflection and goes out for a corner.
That's Hassawi again. Just a lapse in concentration, allowing Russia just to get the whole team the wrong side of him. He's again having to make one of those lunging tackles. I've got to reach, I've got to get it, I've got to make this tackle, otherwise he's in on goal. You just can't keep taking risks like that, and that's why they've conceded goals.
Even here at the World Cup, one of the modern scourges of football exists, where all those in the posh corporate seats are still inside enjoying the lovely food and drink, and they're only coming out in dribs and drabs. There's vast swathes of empty seats on the halfway line. Here comes the corner, whipped in from the far side, headed away by Osama Hassawi. It'll be picked up by Mario Fernandez, the Brazilian-born Russian fullback. He'll give it back to Akinfeev, and all his teammates are down the other end, so he pumps it long. Zhirkov comes in to put pressure on Al-Brek. Al-Brek stood his ground, good commanding header to send it over the halfway line. Al-Sheri, though, unable to hold on to it, and they're just giving it away too cheaply.
It's breaking down a lot up front, Alan, is it, for Saudi Arabia?
Well, they don't seem as if they've got any power. They've got plenty of pace and plenty of energy, but they're getting knocked off the ball far too easily. There's no power. There's no one to see when he's got his back to goal to hold that ball and to have the strength to bring other players into the game.
They look very slight, don't they, Alan? Total footballers, but very slight.
Absolutely. And how much of an issue do you think, these 9 players, many of them playing down there in this opening game, having gone on loan to Spain and not played much since the last transfer window? I mean, does battle hardiness, do you go soft? Do you go weak if you've not been in competitive challenges week in?
This is the World Cup, Connor. This is the World Cup. Everybody should be up for this one.
Well, no attacking the edge of the penalty area there. He can't get it, but it'll fall to Smolov. Lays it up to Alexander Semenov. Good shot, but always rising, and it flies over the crossbar. But it was heading towards that top corner and just too high from Alexander Semenov.
It's not a bad shot, you know. It's a long way out. What he's done, he's got under it. It's more of a conversion than a strike on goal. I think he panicked slightly. He should have got over the ball, got his knee over the ball and struck that into the ground in order for it to rise towards the goal. He just panicked slightly, rushed his shot.
6.5 minutes played in the second half. This is 5 Live for the BBC. We're also on the World Service across Africa. Many will be listening to us up and down that continent as well. The goals, Kaczynski to set Russia on their way, and then the substitute, Cheryshev, is the man who made it 2-0 just before half-time. We're seeing on our screens Vladimir Putin deep in conversation. He'll be relaxed now knowing that his nation have got this 2-goal lead as Zobnin comes over the halfway line on the far side. Roman Zobnin, the Spartak Moscow player. I remember being at Anfield earlier on this season. He played when Spartak were beaten 7-0 by Liverpool in the Champions League.
That's exactly what Alan was saying there. You've got Dasari in the middle of the park. He's got the ball under control, 2 Russian players around him. He could have easily played it off and got a 1-2, but he tried to hold on to it and he got pushed off the ball quite easily.
Almost a nice little move down the right wing there with Mario Fernandes showing his Brazilian heritage as he sort of flicked on a 1-2 there, but it didn't quite come off, and Saudi Arabia regained possession. And this is Osama Hassawi at the back, rolls it to the right hand side onto Mohamed Albrek up to the halfway line. Russia falling back into the defensive formation. They're defending the end away to our left hand side. Here is Abdullah Aktoyev, still just 10 yards inside the Russian half, and they're working hard without possession, Russia, to limit the opportunities for the Saudis. And as it's picked up there by Yahya Al-Sheri, he's tackled and the ball goes out of play for a throw in on the far side and a throw into Russia.
I think what will help the Saudi Arabians here is Alan did allude to it. I'm going to take it on one step further. If they can play football like this, they should play football quick. Don't allow the Russians to get too close to them because they're stronger, and keep the ball moving.
Chance of an attack for Russia. Cheryshev, the scorer of the second tonight, controls it by the corner flag, swings in the left foot. Of course, it's actually dropped by the goalkeeper, but Al Mayouf was not challenged, and he's able to recover it as it bounces back up to him.
Yeah, sort of bounced off his hands there. Al Mayouf, there was no challenge on him whatsoever, and he sort of patted it down in front of him just to make sure that he kept hold of it on the second attempt.
And just signs here of how futile it's been trying to pick out Mohamed Al-Shalawi, the centre forward. The goalkeeper there, Al Mayouf, he boomed it downfield, and Al-Shalawi unable to control, tied up against the touchline, and all that's doing is returning possession to Russia, who've got this throw in with Mario Fernandes. Gives it infield to Kutipov, and now it's Russia's turn to give it away cheaply. And Saudi helped it back to the goalkeeper, Abdullah Al Mayouf.
That's the difference, you see. Go on, Alan. Go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
Of the 54 minutes that we've watched, Dion, is that I just don't think they've got the ability. We listened to Michael before the game telling us how poor Russia were. Now, if Saudi are playing like this against this Russian team, who all the locals keep telling us that they're no good, then they really are going to struggle. I just think it's a lack of ability. They're not used to playing at this level, at this intensity, with players who are quite physical and who basically, what we've witnessed, are better footballers than them at the minute.
Saudi play against Uruguay next. You can imagine Luis Suarez licking his lips to say, let me at this Saudi defence. As Al Jassim here plays a 1-2 in the midfield, and he looks up, but he wanted Albrecht to be there, and Albrecht was there on the right hand side. Forward now to Salman Al Faraj, crossing position on the right hand side, just outside the penalty area. Albrecht gets involved in the move once again, so too Atoyev, and they're trying to string the passes around a congested midfield, and Russia have brought all 11 men back behind the ball. Yasser Al-Sharani has it on the left hand side, back into a more central location. It comes out to the left full-back again. This is all short, intricate passing. It's all in the central third, and Saudi Arabia having to work so hard just to hold on to the ball, but they're not really going anywhere, Alan.
No, they're not. It's neat and tidy in the middle of the park.
Now Elbreak delivers it in. That was a better delivery, but it skids across the 6-yard box and goes out for a goal kick.
That's refreshing, because 2 or 3 times in that move, they moved it from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, and I'm thinking, come on then, do something with it. Whip the ball in. At least you've got a chance to take a deflection or a mistimed tackle or something like that. But just do something. On the occasion that they did it, they caused a problem. They need to do more of that if they're going to have any chance of getting back into the game.
There was 2 chances in one there. The cross came from the right-hand side. Al-Shalawi, who's been waiting for an opportunity like that all game, he had a fresh air shot. It went through him. Al-Jassim was behind it. He couldn't just...
He wasn't too far away, but, you know, you work too hard to get into crossing positions on the training pitch, left-hand side, right-hand side, and you get there. Saudi Arabia have then overplayed and tried to get to the other side of the pitch. It's not worked. This time, they got it into the crossing position. They crossed it. They put it in a danger area. Much better.
Mario Fernandes trying to go on a surging run down the right, the fullback for Russia, but Salam Al-Dosawi showed a clean pair of heels. He nipped in ahead of him in one possession, and now a free kick has been awarded to Saudi Arabia, who trail Russia by 2 goals to 0 here in this, the opening game of the 2018 World Cup. We've played 12 minutes, I get my clock all mixed up, 12 minutes of the second half. Don't forget, a drive on 5 Live, shorter than normal drive to take us up to 7 o'clock, coming up at 5 Live when Kelly Cates will present 5 Live Sportsman with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin and a whole host of names and voices dotted around Russia and beyond. And plenty of build-up, of course, to Monday, and England against Tunisia. Will be all over that here on 5 Live. That looked like a rough challenge on Al-Dosawi, and the referee agrees, and a free kick to Saudi Arabia, which is about 10, 12, maybe 15 yards outside the penalty area, the left-hand side.
Just a couple of times there, Saudi Arabia, you know, Breck there, pinging the ball from left to right, finding the opposite marauding fullback. That means that Russia have got to take the whole of their team across the pitch in formation. Make the Russians move across the pitch. Make them think.
So a free kick will be taken by Taseer Al-Jassim. He's got his hands in his hips. He's waiting for the signal for the referee, who's watching all the pushing and shoving in there. There's a flicked-on header of the front post, but it's off target, and he couldn't quite get the direction on it, Salman Al-Faraj, but it was a chance. And Saudi Arabia have looked dangerous. There's been good deliveries from free kicks in the game so far. That wasn't a whole world away.
No, you know what, that's a really difficult finish, that. Alan, one of those headers that are really difficult. You can't put any pace on it, Alan, can you? You just got to try and guide it.
Yeah, it's whipped in from the left-hand side. Russia are holding that high line there on the edge of the box, not trying to go back as late as possible. Good ball in, but it's a tough chance. They still haven't had an effort on target, Saudi Arabia.
Here come Russia. Zhirkov with the cross, and it's too close to the goalkeeper, and Al Mayouf is able to make the save. Yuri Zhirkov.
See him, Connor. He's the goalkeeper there. He's picked the ball up, and all he's thinking, right, where can I roll it quickly? Where can I roll it short? He's not looked up at all. He's not thought to himself, I've got 2 players up the pitch there. I can actually ping it or throw it into his feet. He's gone short, and they've lost the ball again.
Here come Russia again, trying to break towards the edge of the penalty area. Alexander Samedov collects it, gives it back into the midfield. And ball is played by Gazinski out to the near touchline to Mario Fernandes. And Russia's right, and play it through Zobnin and back to the halfway line, and they're just not taking chances. They're playing quite conservatively, Russia. They've actually, I don't know if you've noticed the possession stats, but Saudi have had considerably more of the ball, 61% to 39%. Russia are allowing Saudi to have it, and they're working as they're not chasing down every lost cause, but when they have possession, they're probably being smarter in how they're using it.
Absolutely. When you've got the ball, you've got to do something. You've got to do something with it. Yes, they're having a lot of possession, but doing very, very little with it. And what Russia are doing, as they have done in the first, and saying, okay, we're sitting off, but we're just going to wait and hit you on the break.
This is Salman Al-Faraj, who has got it near the halfway line. He was the player, enough people will remember this, June of last year, after there was the terrorist attacks in London, and Saudi Arabia played against Australia in a game, and there was a minute silence before the game, and almost everyone in the Saudi team refused to stand and honour that minute silence, and he was the one player, Salman Al-Faraj, who did. He went out on the pitch and he stood for the minute silence, and he got an awful lot of praise and fame around the time for that. Now here he is playing at the World Cup, but they're just trying to pull the strings. They're trying to find a way to break down this solid, stubborn Russian team who've got their noses in front. 2-0 Russia lead on 5 Live.
You know what, Conor? It's stubborn but very organised. Playing the right game for the right match.
Chance to cross here on the right hand side. It's a dummy cross. Al-Shehri will pick it up closer to the quarter flag. Last touch comes off the Russian defender Zhirkov, and that will be a throw into Saudi Arabia. Attacking position down the right hand side. We've played an hour now inside the Luzhniki Stadium, and looks like Saudi Arabia are preparing to make their first substitution of the match. Possession with Omar Hassami, one of the two central defenders. Yasser Al-Sharani is to his left-hand side, 15 yards inside the and they get themselves into such trouble when they try to play it around to the back. I mean, hearts and mouths for the Saudi fans anytime that back four try to spray it one side to the other.
And because the Russians are that much stronger, when they do get close to the Saudi Arabians, they inevitably win the ball back off them. Possibly not with great skill, just with physical presence and leewaying them out of the way. And more often than not, the Saudi Arabians fall on the floor, the Russians all break. It's a little bit better from the Saudi Arabian side. They're trying to go from side to side, trying to create that bit of space down the wings.
Russia preparing to make a change as well. The coach Cherchesov is pointing down towards the substitutes. One of them has turned for the quarter flag now. He's come sprinting back towards the technical area. I think it's going to be Al-Muwallad who's going to come on for Saudi Arabia. We'll find out shortly. Here is Samedov for Russia, looking for the third goal that would really kill this game off now into their favour. Ball into the penalty area, and a good block again by Albrick, who got his body across and was able to ensure that Cheryshev would not get a shot in on target. Russia hold on to possession, back to the halfway line. Ignashevich again, and a chance to look up, but he delivers it forward, but cut out in the midfield. Saudi Arabia can't hold on to possession. Al Jassim is relieved of the ball by the hard-working Yuri Gazinski, the man who scored the opening goal of this World Cup. Possession closer to the centre circle now with Kuchapov, and he'll turn and give it back towards the goalkeeper again.
It's very noticeable to see the two centre-halves, the two Russian centre-halves, Ignashevich and Kutapov. They play together. They play together well. Their distances are very, very good. Whereas the Saudi Arabian two, Hassawi and Hassami, big gaps. Smolov's finding little pockets in between the two centre-halves. Their distance between the two centre-halves is too big. Plenty of space for runners from midfield.
This is Utayev, midway inside his own half. Saudi Arabia playing right to left. Another one of these hoofed clearances out towards the touchline, which can't be easy for the fullbacks to receive. Albrick has done well in the circumstance. Over exuberant challenge in on him by Cheryshev, and now we will have the change, and Fahad Al-Muwallad is going to come on, and he'll take the place of Abdullah Atoyev. So Fahad Al-Muwallad, who's a young player, 23 years of age, he's a fast winger. He's got pace on him, and he's coming on for a more defensive midfielder in Atoyev. So maybe, Alan, they're going to push forward now and commit a second striker up top.
That's exactly what's happened, Conor. You see his position straight away. He's gone up straight alongside Al-Shehri. They've gone two up front. He's screaming at them now to do that, and at least they're going to try and have a go and try and get back into this game.
And then almost to counterbalance that, immediately Russia take off their winger Alexander Samedov, and they bring on a more central midfield, more defensive-minded midfielder, Dala Zuvayev, who Celtic fans might remember he scored against them in the Europa League for Zenit St. Petersburg this season. So Zuvayev is on for Samedov, and Fahad Al-Muwallad is on for Saudi Arabia. So Russia come on the attack. Good ball into the penalty area. Header on target by Cheryshev, but didn't have the power, and it's saved by the goalkeeper Al-Mayouf.
Just left his run late there, Cheryshev. Left his run late, seeing what kind of ball was going to be coming in the box. Again, you've got Hassawi, the centre-half, trying to predict what kind of pass that's going to be played. He gets caught out of position again, leaves his centre-half partner in the lurch, and they get another chance, Russia. I just think if they don't change this way of playing, they've tried to go two up front now. If they can get the ball to them and they can use the ball right, something might happen for them.
Yeah, Fahad Al-Muwallad has come on, the man who scored the goal against Japan that secured the place of the World Cup for Saudi Arabia. They've come here to Moscow, they've been in the spotlight of the opening game, they've conceded twice in the 1st half, and for all their possession, they've really not created many chances of their own. 3 games tomorrow at the World Cup. Egypt against Uruguay is the early kick-off. We'll bring you Morocco against Iran, and the evening game, it's a big one, Portugal against Spain tomorrow on 5 Live. 2-0 to Russia.
They normally start what looks like a Mexican wave when the game's rubbish, but this has been far from rubbish. Entertaining game, but obviously the fans want more. There's a Mexican wave started.
Even the Saudi Arabian fans, their team 2-0 down, they're joining in with a bit of a Mexican wave away to our right hand side. I mean, it's just to sort of paint the picture for listeners at home, it's not this sort of mad partisan crowd for a host nation that maybe Brazil would have had 4 years ago. It feels to me, Dion, that there's probably as many neutrals in here as Russians. You know, there's shirts of every nation around the globe. You look around the stadium, people have managed to get tickets for this game regardless of where they're from.
Yeah, because there's no segregation. I think it's absolutely fantastic. We've got all kinds of shirts and colours, and people are joining in. You know, I'd possibly say, what would you say, 25% Russian?
Yeah,
here?
Yeah,
that's
I would say
right,
that's about right, definitely. There's the fullback here, Blick, has got a bit of work to do under pressure from Cheryshev. Cheryshev has managed to get the ball off him, but he had fouled him in doing so. For a moment, Denis Cheryshev thought he was away there, but a foul on Mohamed Albrek, and that will come back for a Saudi Arabia free kick.
You know what, Conor? I haven't seen as yet a Saudi Arabian player on the ball and holding off a Russian player. I've just seen them go down incredibly easy, whether it's because they're looking for the free kick. But again, look, overplaying, Conor, you can't do that in your own final third.
Yeah, that's the substitute Fahad who's come on, and he's given away possession very cheaply there. Russia have it with Fido Smolov. He'd love a goal in the opening game. He's the one they hope will be their top scorer. The main striker plays for Krasnodar. He scored 52 goals over the last few seasons for them. Russia come again through the middle now with Roman Zobnin. And with the defender, Al-Shirani backing away from Zobnin's into the penalty, shoot, fumbled by the goalkeeper, and following up, for a moment it looked like Smolov was going to get his chance, but he couldn't dig it out from between his own feet.
He needed to get to that, the keeper made a bit of a mess of it. To be honest, it's a great run by Breck, by the way. He tries to draw the defender out, the shot was taken by Zobnin, keeper saved it, but he got on the second bits, needed to as well, because Smolov was hovering.
Yeah, Smolov came in. He almost needed a touch like Cheryshev had for the second goal of the game. He needed to dink it up over the goalkeeper diving out towards it.
There's not many of us that can do that, Conor. There's only a few that can do that in world football, let me tell you.
Well, one of them might be sitting to my left-hand side. Alan, do you think, more likely this Russian third goal is going to come than any reprisal or, comeback from the Saudi Arabians?
Yeah, I do. Saudi again losing the ball in the middle of the park by being weak and lacking the strength.
Here is Zobnin into the penalty area. Al-Shirani again comes across to make the challenge. They haven't fully cleared it away. Golovano, I think, has been very influential. He's pulling a lot of strings down there for Russia. It's dinked in by Gazinski into the penalty area. Al-Shirani again in the right place where he needs to be, and he's got a chance to clear it away here left-footed, but it's not a good clearance. They're putting themselves under all sorts of pressure. Saudi Arabia here. Kuzayev, the substitute, has just come on, helped by Golovin on the edge of the penalty area. Now Gazinski. There's 7 or 8 players back behind the ball for Saudi Arabia. They need every one of them at the moment. This continues to look dangerous as Russia come forward, and eventually Al Faraj is able to nip away possession, and they'll take it clear with Al Dasawi on the left-hand side, and he's pinged a good crossfield ball here. Now let's see if they can make something here. Russia have committed players forward. Possession with Al Shirwi. Plays it towards the edge of the penalty area, towards the substitute Fahad, but it's a poor pass, and it's easily intercepted.
I admire Saudi Arabia for the way they're trying to get back into the game, but in theory what should happen now is that Russia should have that extra man in the midfield in there, so should have a little bit more possession and get into that final third a little bit more, because Saudi, when they did start defending, at least they did try and get numbers behind the ball, but they're going to be a man lacking in that department now because they pushed one further forward.
You know, Alan, if this was a World Cup father-side tournament, I think Saudi Arabia would have a good chance of winning it. But you can't play father-side on an 11-a-side pitch.
Yeah, the sort of father-side that you're not allowed to do a slide tackle, that kind of a one.
Yeah, they'd love that. They'd love it. They'd win it hands down.
Right, Russia have made an attacking change. They've taken off Smolov, the main striker, and they've brought on Artem Dazuba, who is a Zenit St. Petersburg player. He's very much a barrel-chested, big, strong centre forward. Yeah. He's going to enjoy bashing into the two Hassawis in the defence now.
They'll want to get the ball up to him. They'll want him to take the pressure off the midfield players now. They've gone 2 up front, Saudi Arabia. Get the big man on. make him scare the two defenders, hold on to the ball, let the defence get out, because at the moment they just haven't been able to get out.
If Artem Zuba was playing in a movie, he would definitely be the henchman, the hitman. He's got those cold, steely Russian eyes. He's an enormous build. You would not get into an argument about anything with him.
You know what, if I was playing centre half against him, I would say to the manager, is there any chance I can go and play up front, please?
Well, he's taken a position in around the penalty spot, and with a lot of caution, Osama Hazawi is sort of lurking near him and praying the ball doesn't come anywhere near them. He is enormous. Here is a chance for Russia. Zobnin plays it short to Golovin. Here's the ball in, headed down! Zuba! Just what we said was going to happen. It's floated into the big man, and he heads it down, and it's 3-0. And now Cherchesov will celebrate. The Russian coach, who barely flinched for the opening 2 goals. Oh, he gives it a big fist bump there. Russia are up and running. The World Cup is up and running. It's 3-0 to the hosts.
They're not just up and running, Connor. They're absolutely sprinting away with this one. The big man, look at him. He's in between the 2 centre halves. There's only 2 defenders of Saudi Arabia. They're trying to mark 2 players. You can't go 2 for 2. The big man's just nudged the defender. I think it might have been Hasawi under the ball. There you go, that'll do. Cross it for me, I'll get your goals.
Alan Shearer, football is a game that people make very complicated. Sometimes it's best to just sling it into the big man.
Well, if you can write a script of how that goal was going to come, then bring the big man on, get the ball, put it in the box, he'll get on the end of it. And that's exactly what he did. As simple as that. He got the ball, Zobnin turned, put it in the box, big man's in there, free header, very, very good header in the corner, game over.
Zuba scores to make it 3-0 Russia, and on our television screens there's a grin on the face of Vladimir Putin. This is the outcome the hosts wanted in this opening game. We have 18 minutes to play. Russia leads Saudi Arabia by 3-0. I think it was Golovin who sent in the cross. He's a player, I mean, we mentioned earlier on, kind of pulling a few strings. I think he's been linked with a move to Arsenal. What do you both think about him? Could he make it in the Premier League?
Well, you know what, it's very difficult to say. He's playing against a team that have given him so much time on the ball. If you get time on the ball and you're a quality player, you put quality crosses in the box, and he's done it all night.
Al-Dasawi drills in a shot off target. It was a long way out, but it's the nearest they've come to a shot on target for a long time. Alan, sorry, just what do you make of Golovin?
It's very difficult to judge because he's playing against a very poor team, and I don't want to put them down too much, but I'm sure Dion Dublin would still look good playing against this lot.
That is terrible. That's
sorry,
terrible.
Dion.
Below the belt. That's below
I'm off. That's it. The mic's dropped.
No. I meant that was terrible for Saudi Arabia. I mean, they're not that.
Are you kidding me? They've been awful.
3-0 to Russia, and the Saudis are now in damage limitation mode. Just as they had tried to be brave, they brought on the new attacker Fahad Al-Muwallad, and then on comes big Artem Zuba, and a proper old-fashioned centre forwards header there. No messing about. Bang into the back of the net. 3-0 to the hosts.
No nonsense.
Here is Mohamed El Brek. Is this going to get worse for Saudi Arabia? Still over 16 minutes of normal time to play. Russia, who've had 9 attempts in the game, 5 of them have been on target. Saudi Arabia yet to challenge Igor Akinfeev, the Russian goalkeeper. They have yet to have a shot on target. Here is Salman Al-Faraj in the midfield, trying to control it, being helped out by Tazir Al-Jassim, but it's difficult in there, it's congested. They win a free kick, Saudi Arabia. The Russian players, you can just see, they're enjoying it now. 3-0 in a game that carried such weight, such pressure. Had they lost this, I mean, they've been sent to Siberia, they're 3-0 up, they can relax.
And when the game started, I did think to myself, wow, Saudi Arabia look sharp, they look good, they're trying to play the game in the right way, but the Russians have chosen the right tactics tonight.
Zobnin attacks down the right-hand side, Yasser Al-Sharani slides in, and he puts it out of play. And a throw into Russia, and they will take their time over it now. And Mario Fernandes, the Brazilian-born player, he's been in Russia for many years. Apparently he doesn't speak any Russian. He claims he can understand it, but he doesn't want to talk it. So you can imagine what it's like for him in the dressing room, the only foreign-born player in the team. But he gives them a little bit of something extra on that right-hand side. He looks a quality player. And big Zuba up front. I mean, I think it was his first touch, and he managed to head it into the back of the net.
Just watching the replay of the goal there. Great header from the big man. Agility. Look, we're watching the replay on the screen right in front of us, and he's gone over to the manager. The manager saluted to the big man, and he got a high five.
A military salute from the coach Stanislav Cherchesov towards Artem Zuba, and it was very much to say, job done. 3-0. The Saudis ain't coming back from this.
There's a free kick here on the right hand side for Russia. It's because again Dasari on the left hand side for Saudi Arabia trying to overplay. Just pick a pass and get your team up the pitch, get them away from your goal as much as possible. At the moment they're still overplaying. Russia have got a free kick, the big man's in the box. Watch out.
What do you think they're going to do, Dion?
They might play it short. They might play it short out.
Well, Yuri Zhirkov is standing over this, so too Alexander Golovin. And it's 7 or 8 yards outside the penalty area, wide on the right-hand side. It'll either be an in-swinger off the left boot of Zhirkov. That looks likely. No, he'll run over it. Golovin, right-footed, floated in, header this time by Zobnin, but it's not on target. And it's wide and a goal kick to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Still 3-0 Russia.
Yeah, yes, it's not a corner. It's a free kick. It's out wide, and it's forcing Saudi Arabia to mark. They have to mark. They have to do a job. This is my man. I'll do this. You do that, man. For corners, as Alan said earlier, they put 3 across the 6-yard box. That's why corners have been such a problem for them.
Well, these nations have only met once before. There was no shortage of goals the first time Saudi Arabia beat Russia 4-2. That was in a friendly long time ago. This is the real deal. This is the opening game of the 2018 World Cup. And Russia leading Saudi Arabia by 3-0 here on 5 Live and the World Service across Africa from the BBC. Don't forget to download the 5 Live World Cup daily, perfect for your morning commute. Mark Chapman and Kelly Cates bringing you that podcast every day throughout the World Cup. Very important that you get downloading that to keep up with all our content from across Russia. As Golovin here gets a little talking to by the referee, and Saudi Arabia get the game back underway with the throw-in down below us from Al-Sharani. Big Zuba goes scampering after Osama Al-Sharami. I mean, he's up for this now, Zuba. He's like, give me another touch. I've scored with the only one I've had so far. As Al-Jassim wriggles away from a challenge, gives it back down to Omar Hassami, and then it's won by Al-Sharani. I mean, he's the one who's impressed me. He plays for Al-Hilal. He's the left back. He's 26 years of age. You just think, get him coaching, get him playing in a good... He kind of reminds me of Marcelo, the Brazilian left back from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And, not just the hair, the way he plays.
You can see that the Saudi Arabians, they know each other. They know how the game's played. There's 19 players, or should I say 19 players in this squad are spread over 3 teams. So they know each other well. They know how to play the game of football. But when they're down, they don't have a plan B. You've got to try something different if this isn't working. They haven't.
I was given a look there by Alan Shearer when I suggested that Al-Sharani was... I'm not saying he's as good as Marcelo. He reminds me of him. He's a very rough diamond.
Can someone check that's water in front of Connor?
Okay, maybe it is the hair. No, it's the hair. He reminds me of Marcelo because of the hair. He get away with nothing here. Omar Hassami, halfway line for Saudi Arabia. Can they restore some pride with even 1 goal on the scoreboard? We've got 11 minutes of normal time to play. Osama Hassawi here. They still look nervous and uncertain in possession. Al-Faraj plays it forward into the penalty area. Here's my mate Al-Sharani up there. Can't win it in the air, and it's cleared away out of defence by Russia. Up towards the big man, Artem Zuba. I mean, the big discussion in Russia, the build-up to is how the front two couldn't play together. Well, Zuba's did a great job on his own. Here is Kuzayev crossing from the right-hand side, lurking at the back post was Cheryshev, and it's just flicked away from him by Al-Faraj.
Yeah, it's a good header. Faraj needed to make that. I think it was who's at the far post there, just about to void that with his left foot. Faraj got a nick on it, stuck it out of danger, went to a Russian player. Russia on the attack yet again. It's quite a bad foul. Kicked out in there, he has.
Foul on Daler Kuzayev, and that will be a free kick to Russia on the halfway line. 10 minutes to go.
The big man there, the Zuba, he had to hold the ball up for a good 3 or 4 seconds, make sure that his team get up the pitch. They get up the pitch, they get half a chance, and that's great coaching, great decision to bring him on.
I'm loving Zuba up front. Get it into him as Churchev tries to cross from the left-hand side. Well cut out again. Now this time by Albrecht, and then just when Russia thought Shirkov was in, referee's whistle is blown, and that is a free kick to Saudi Arabia.
Good old-fashioned centre forward, eh? Get it up there, get hold of it, bring someone into the game, and if I'm in the middle, get the ball in, because I'll cause problems, and that's exactly what's happening.
He's a modern-day Mick Harford down there, Dion. I mean, he's tough as nails, isn't he,
yeah,
Zuba?
He is. I'm pretty sure Mick Harford wouldn't be scared of him now, I can guarantee you that.
So, into the last 10 minutes, Russia 3, Saudi Arabia 0, 2 goals in the first half. Zuba scoring with his first touch after coming off the bench in the second period. And the World Cup is up and it's underway, and as we said, I think it's going to be a late night in Moscow. I think the Russians are going to celebrate this one. I think they'll realise this might be as good as it gets. Let's enjoy it while the going is good before we play Uruguay.
Saudi Arabians now, they're getting tired. The game's coming to us. It's in the final third now. They're still trying to play the same way, but the players aren't getting in the same positions. They're not showing. They haven't got 3 options on the ball every time they have the ball because they're getting tired and the Russians have drawn them down.
Decent bit of play actually down by the touchline by Barry, who's come on as a sub for Saudi Arabia, and then the old experienced head Sergei Ignashevich wins the ball off him in the penalty area and gives a proper no-nonsense clearance and drills it away into the crowd, but well away from danger. It went out of play close to the halfway line. Ignashevich, who's not been tested, he's not once been put in a 1-on-1 situation. I mean, they play Egypt next, Russia. Can you imagine if Mo Salah's fit to play? It's going to be a completely different experience for this Russian back four, but they've played to their strengths. They've played very deep at times. They've not allowed space to create that sort of 1-on-1 situation.
I wonder if our friend Michael from Russia, who before the game was telling us how awful they were, if he fancies giving any of the Russia players better than 3 or 4 out of 10. What do you think?
He didn't put them in a good light, did he? Our friend.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what spin the Russian media put on this tomorrow. Will they be deeming them world champions, or will they be celebrating this as the individual success it may be? As Ignashevich here plays it out towards Yuri Zhirkov on the far side. We've got 7.5 minutes to go now. A few tackles flying in there on the far side, and eventually the referee blows the whistle and said it had gone out of play, and it'll be a throw into Russia. Looked like a foul throw by Yuri Zhirkov, but play on, says the referee, up towards Big Zoom on the edge of the penalty area, and Al-Shirani comes careering across and just very un-Marcelo-like wallops the ball away clear. Here is Albrecht on the right-hand side into Al-Faraj, and again they try to play their way out of trouble, Saudi Arabia. Back out to Al-Shirani on the left. He's got a bit of room here as Russia fall back into defensive formation, and Stanislav Cherchesov, their coach, points back towards their own penalty area, says just sit tight there, lads, we're not taking any chances now with 7 minutes to go.
See, you're watching the 2 centre-halves, big gaps between the 2 centre-halves of Saudi Arabia, trying to play the right game, but as soon as they go long, it becomes a fight between a Russian player and a Saudi Arabian player that's only going to be won by the Russians.
Good work by Golovin once again, and then there's a shot from way out by Kuzayev. It would have been very spectacular had it been anywhere near on target, but it sails miles above. It actually goes into the Saudi Arabia fans, and I think they might well want to hold on to that football as a little bit of a souvenir. Late change coming on for Saudi Arabia. Mohamed Assiri will be making a very late introduction here just to see out the game late on, and they're going to take off the striker Mohamed Al-Salawi, who really, I mean, he won. I was going to say for one he didn't get a slip. Do you know what he did? There was that one dangerous cross on the right-hand side, and he was attacking it, and he hit a fresh air shot. And it is it, but I just wonder, at this level, it's the World Cup, you need to take the one chance that comes your way, surely. You can't afford to flop.
It's the World Cup, Connie. You need to create a lot more chances than they've created tonight. They've got into good positions to cross the ball. They won't cross it. The reason why they won't cross it is they haven't got a big Zuba to stick it in the back of the net. They're very intricate, very slight players, want to play the game in the right way. So if you cross it, it's a wasted cross. That time, the time they did, it was left in an area. It became a dangerous cross.
3-0 Russia, and big Artem Zuba is on the prowl again. He's got it wide on the left-hand side. plenty of support arriving now. They've got 4 in around the penalty area, 5 with Mario Fernandes arriving, Russia, who lead by 3-0 here, just over 5 minutes to play. We've got Drive coming up at 5 Live after the live football, and then Kelly Cates presenting 5 Live Sport from 7 o'clock, and we'll have plenty of voices and names from right around Brazil. We'll touch you with so many of the camps, hear what the latest news is from the various countries of the World Cup, and the day's other sports news as well. But no doubting what the big news story is going to be, that the World Cup is up and running, and that Russia are now just a few minutes away from securing an opening win for the hosts.
You know, it was just on the left-hand side there, Zobnin had the ball, and the big centre half saying, play me in, put me in, I can make a run. He's waved him away. He said, get in the box, I don't want you out here, I want to cross the ball onto your head. Might get the opportunity now.
Yuri Zhirkov is the Russian standing over this free kick, wide on the left-hand side, delivers it in well. Ignashevich got up, it was deflected away by the man who's just come on as Isoba Siri. That could have gone anywhere, that could so easily have got into his own net. He puts it out for a late Russian corner.
Yeah, needed to just get a little bit on that, just to take it away from the Russian player that was coming in late on the far post, but in doing that he's given his team more defending to do. I'm just looking at them again here now. Russia are 3 up and they are still going sort of half zonal. There's 4 or 5 players marking 3 across the 6-yard box. It's a waste of time. Go and mark man for man.
Russia have 5 players in the penalty area, 2 on the edge. Ball is swung in by Golovin, not the greatest corner he's ever delivered, cleared away by the first defender, and then there's a foul down there on Al Jassim, I think it was, just as he tried to clear the ball away. So Saudi Arabia will get a free kick and a chance for them to clear their line. So if you're just tuning in, maybe you've left work, you're in the car on the way home, tuning into 5 Live. Russia up and running for the World Cup. Gazinski scored the opener for not just this game but the tournament after 12 minutes. Denis Cheryshev, who plays in Spain with Villarreal, he's the only outfield player in the Russian squad who doesn't play his club football in Russia. He scored excellent goal. I mean, that's the one they'll all be looking at slow motion replays at for the rest of the evening. And Saudi Arabia come forward, tried to get a shot in on the edge of the penalty area, but in the end it is cleared away, and then Zuba has scored a commanding header in the second half to make it 3. Alexander Golovin, 1 touch too many maybe inside the Saudi Arabian half, and then as he tries to regain control of the ball, he is first of all blown against for a free kick, and then he is shown a yellow card, yellow for Alexander Golovin.
The most important time to concentrate is when you haven't got the ball. 2 centre halves and the holding midfield player for Saudi Arabia have to talk amongst each other. The ball gets cleared, Golovin picks it up, he turns and attacks. You've got to concentrate, you've got to make sure you all know your jobs. 1 in front, 1 behind. That's how you defend when you haven't got the ball.
This is Salim Al-Dasawi on the halfway line. Just 2 minutes remaining of normal time in the Luzhniki Stadium before the Russian supporters can stream out into the Moscow evening. There's been a lot of colour. The excitement's been building in recent nights. The fireworks going off around town.
I've been watching the spider cams overworked today. Look at the spider cam right in front of us. It's amazing.
Whizzing up and down as the ball is played into the penalty area, and Kaputov is there, and he's able to head the ball clear. Big Zuba now gets up ahead of steam from the centre circle. He's got support as well with him from Golovin. Back towards Zuba, towards the edge of the penalty area. Osama Hassawi is grateful to just usher him away from the box and send him out wide. That's where they want the big man, sending in the crosses rather than being on the end of them. He's put a very good ball here though, from wide out of the left wing across to Mario Fernandes, the Brazilian-born right back. He plays a 1-2. Russia would love the extra goal here, make it 4-0, make it really convincing as Golovin crosses from the right-hand side, and weak defending again, and Saudi Arabia, for what should have been easily cleared away, Omar Hassami puts it out for a corner.
Yeah, that's just a tired mind, Alan. When that happens to your defenders, that they're getting tired, they don't really know what to do with the ball, they don't want the ball anywhere near them, they're shattered.
Well, do you want the polite version, or do you want me to tell her how it is about Saudi Arabia? Because I don't think I'm ever going to be invited there if I tell the truth. No, I'm not sure that's a good or a bad thing, but I have to say they've been hopeless. There's no, you can't fault their effort, but this team shouldn't really be in the World Cup, should it?
Corner to Russia. Big Zuba waits in the middle. Alexander Golovin plays it in right-footed, easily headed away at the front post by Al Faraj. Saudi Arabia brought everyone back behind the ball, so there's no one to even challenge for it in the halfway line, and we are now just 15 seconds away from finding out what the stoppages will be added on. Still early evening here, it's not turned 8 p.m. yet, and plenty of bright daylight still in the sky, but there is about to be a big Russian celebration of a big Russian victory to start their own World Cup with a win, a convincing one. 3 minutes being added on, 3-0 the scoreline in the Lajiki Stadium.
If you decide to play total football, a game of total football which Saudi Arabia have chose to do, you have to have an end product to it, because it can actually sap your energy, the movement. You have to have players that are willing to show for the ball all the time, play it around the corner, get it again. It saps concentration, it saps energy. The Russians have allowed them to do it. Do it, he's fine by us, you can have the ball, but you've got no end product.
Free kick.
I don't think Russia are a great team either, but they've been made to look very good tonight.
Golovin! Cheryshev! Oh, that is outstanding! He's hit it the outside of the left boot. It curls into the top corner. It is 4-0, and it's become a demolition now. Russia are starting their own World Cup in style, and Denis Cheryshev is about to become a name that will echo around the planet. He has scored 2 goals in this opening game in Moscow, and both have been spectacular. That is a glorious finish. Russia 4, Saudi Arabia 0.
And what a finish, Al.
Oh, the outside of the left foot, wasn't it? Just on the half volley, just rising over the keeper, looking at the goalkeeper. He shouldn't even have dived, because there's only one place that was going. Top corner, what a strike.
Straight up to the big man. The big man gets hold of the ball. He knocks it down to Cheryshev. Cheryshev takes a touch, no pressure, and he has the audacious thought. I tell you what, I'll use the outside of my left boot this time. What a finish.
He thinks even I could put in that one, and he spins it towards the far top corner. Many players wouldn't even have thought the shot was on. It was glorious. It was improvisation, and he has become an early star of this World Cup. The goal in the first half, for listeners who may have missed it, lovely little dink over 2 sliding defenders, flicking the ball over the top, getting onto it again and scoring. And this was just an instinctive strike, but the accuracy, Dion, the accuracy right in the top corner.
You've got to give the manager credit. He's got the big man on. He's changed the game. Russia have changed the way they've played. The big man's just kept hold of the ball. As a big centre forward, the first thing you have to be for your team is reliable. Just do a job, hold on to the ball. If you can nick as a goal as well, do so. He's done that and more.
Dion, you say give the manager credit. He didn't put him in the starting 11 to begin with. Churchioff did. He's been the man of the match.
He knew he was going to be effective, Alan, in the second half. That's what he's done, you see. That's how clever he is.
You're both right. As Tassir Al-Jassim receives a yellow card, and Russia get a free kick on the edge of the penalty area now. What have we played? We've played the 3 minutes that were supposed to be added on. Russia have a chance here to make it 5 and really put a gloss on things. I mean, 5-0, I mean, even if it's Saudi Arabia, that's still a scoreline that are going to make people sit up and say, hang on a minute, maybe the hosts have got to be considered here. Yuri Zhirkov standing over it. Alexander Golovin could be the right-footed option. I mean, this isn't a bad location, Alan, for the free kick. They could score here.
Absolutely, it's a great position to have. He's arguing with the big man as well, isn't he? He's saying, what's he saying to him? Put it to the far post or have a pocket goal? I would do exactly what he's telling me, by the way, the size of it.
Yes, sir, I will. Absolutely. Tell me where.
Where would you like it?
Look at that big gap. The big gap over the right. As Zobnin looks at this, there's a big gap in the right-hand corner. Keeper's left. Look at that.
This Golovin, who hits it around the wall and in! It's the 5th goal! It's the 5-star performance to seal the victory, surely now for Russia. What about this? A scoreline that will reverberate around the world. Russia hosting the World Cup, make it 5-0 in the opening game. Who saw this coming? People were worried this would be a drab encounter. People were worried it'd be a boring 0-0. 5 goals to get us started, and the World Cup 2018 is away to a sprint.
Look at the fans, look the Russian scarves. We can see the Russian fans now. The flags are waving, the scarves above their head, they're swinging the scarves. Just see the shot of Putin there, sat back, incredibly cool. What a free kick. I told you, keeper, you should have went to your left.
It is all over, and almost mercifully for Saudi Arabia, the final whistle is blown. That was a mismatch that needed the white towel thrown in a long, long time ago. But celebrations will now follow for Russia. Gazinski, 2 from Cheryshev, Big Zuba with the powering header, and then Golovin with a free kick, bending around the wall, beating the goalkeeper at the near post. There will be big celebrations, big relief for the Russians, and what a big scoreline. Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0.
The official World Cup coverage on SJ Radio.
Ooh, that was a game and a half to begin with, wasn't it? Leaders Russia leads Saudi Arabia 5 goals to 0. Just go flying in the front, and then don't forget we are having you a nice little trophies of every single FA Cup game, World Cup game rather. Every single World Cup game right here on SJ Radio to give you perspective then. We've got Egypt, Uruguay, 1 o'clock tomorrow, so it's all British meantime. Then Moscow and Iran, 4 o'clock then, and 7 o'clock. You've got Portugal and Spain. Heading into Saturday then, 11 o'clock, you've got France and Australia, 2 o'clock, Argentina and Iceland, 5 o'clock, Peru and Denmark, and 8 o'clock, Canada and Nigeria. Those are your lineups for Saturday. Then it's not stopping there. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Costa Rica, Siberia, Germany, Mexico, 4 o'clock, and 7 o'clock is Brazil and Switzerland. Moving on to Monday then, 1 o'clock, Sweden and Korean Republic, Belgium, Panama, 4 o'clock, Tunisia and England, the big one, Monday night, 7 o'clock. Then Tuesday, 1 o'clock as well, so the pairs 1, 4 and 7. 1 o'clock, Colombia, Japan, 4 o'clock, you've got Poland and Senegal. Russia and Egypt, Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Wednesday, you've got Portugal, Morocco, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, Iran and Spain. Then Thursday, a week today, you've got 1 o'clock kickoffs, which is Denmark, Australia, France, Peru, Argentina and Croatia. Friday, Brazil, Costa Rica's our first game. Mid-game, Iceland as they take on Nigeria, and Serbia as they take on Switzerland. Saturday in Belgium, Tunisia, 4 o'clock. You've got Korean Republic and Mexico. 7 o'clock, you've got Germany and Sweden. And then you've got on Sunday, next Sunday, England and Panama, 1 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Japan and Senegal. And Poland and Colombia is at 7 o'clock. Those are your next 2 weeks' features. Every single match right here on SJ Radio. So on the opening ceremony in, Russia gets the victory. It's a good start for Russia, isn't it, I suppose?
The World Cup. This is SJ Radio.